It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Gina Trapani begins her week off. Boo-hoo. But hey, there's good news. Matt Cutts fills in. Jeff Jarvis, Matt Cutts, and I will talk about the latest Google algorithms, including penguin, panda, and hummingbird. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 227, recorded December 4th, 2013. Turnip drones. This Week in Google is brought to you by Jira, an Atlassian product. Jira is the project management solution for teams planning, building, and launching great products. To learn more about Jira and try it free for 30 days, visit Atlassian.com/twig. And by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll finally have all your financial life in one place and get a clear view of everything you own. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/twig. And by Hulu Plus. Hulu Plus lets you binge on thousands of hit shows anytime, anywhere on your TV, PC, smartphone, or tablet. Visit huluplus.com/twit to start your free 2-week trial. That's huluplus.com/twit. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show that covers Google, the cloud, the Googleverse, the Facebookverse, the Twitterverse, and any verse that we should like to cover. We begin our sad month wandering in the wilderness without Gina Trapani. Jeff Jarvis, how are we going to do it? It's just so difficult. Gina! Somebody said she was in the rundown.
It looked like it, but then she was gone. Like
maybe she misses us.
And she goes.
Yeah. I hope she's not taking a look at the show when she's not on it. That would be sad. You won't catch me in the rundown, even on the weeks I'm here. But we do have a very fitting replacement from Google itself, one of its earliest employees, and one of the most forthright and greatest guys ever from Google, Matt Cutts. He's in charge of Google spam fighting. Also does those great Google Webmaster videos. Hi, Matt. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
I like your Hello Kitty.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Are you
I get a dinosaur?
Are you in your home, a conference room?
I'm at home right now.
Ah, so you must have small children, or else you have a weird fetish.
Well, you want to have a little bit of variety to break up the background.
Okay, I'm not going to press you on it. I'm not.
They now have $80 dinosaur heads, so I was thinking about replacing Hello Kitty with a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, they've been doing ads for those giant wall stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get, football players, giant dinosaurs, whatever.
That would be fun.
Wait, do you have one of those intercoms, Matt, behind you?
I do, yeah. I've never used it.
Do you actually use it?
No, it's horrible tech.
No one ever uses it.
Jeff needs to reinvent it.
Jeff, are you inhaling helium?
Oh, well, I almost did. I'm back from the dentist.
But you sound like this.
I do?
Yeah.
I do?
Yes. Would you lower your voice, please?
Oh, no.
I think it's a artifact of whatever. Are you using Skype?
No, I volunteered to. Should I switch or what?
Let's switch you to Skype. Matt, is there any way to bring is there a button in Hangouts that gives you a high-pitched voice?
That would be a pretty... okay, I'm going to file that as a feature. I really like that idea.
Helium
Darth
voice.
Vader.
Or you should also have Darth Vader voice.
Yes.
I'm all numbed up. I have 2 crowns.
All right, that's enough of that. Oh, God!
Public parts.
That's worse than Jaws. Shark Week on This Week in Google. So, gosh, there's so many things to talk about. I'm so excited.
You want to call me back on Skype?
Yeah, I'll do that.
We're going to call him back. Okay. Yeah, because he really does sound like that. That's not, despite all appearances, his normal voice. So how things going, Matt?
They're going pretty well. I tried the 30-day challenge of no work November.
What?
Turns out,
you can't do that.
Yeah, I took a vacation for the month of November, and it turns out I suck at not working.
Yeah, me too. I couldn't
still
do it.
read email, but
I could do a week, maybe 2.
Yeah.
But then I start, going crazy.
yeah, you need something. I still surf all the tech news, so it's like, well, I might as well get paid to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So 30 days of no work usually means 30 days of no paycheck, but you probably, knowing you and what a workaholic you are, you probably accumulated a lot of vacation time.
Yeah, I was actually bumping up against the cap at Google.
Yep.
And so I said, you know what? Relatives are coming. Thanksgiving's coming. Let's just take a little bit of time off.
Now, do you have a good team that you can say, look, or do you have to get everything done before you leave? How does that work for you?
It's really fantastic. Things ran like clockwork while I was gone. You know, everybody's like, oh, Matt's away. Everybody start spamming. But, you know, it's not the case. They catch all the spam regardless.
Yeah.
And I do have a joke with my team that every time I go on vacation, Google stock price goes up. And it held true. So
really?
Price went up. Yeah. So
wow.
I'm like, maybe I should just, take a longer vacation. Everybody's like, no, it's fine, really.
You know, pretty much anytime the sun comes up, Google's stock goes up. So that's a safe bet on that one.
I guess it's been a
pretty strong, pretty high flyer.
Yep.
Now at $1,058.18 a share. Wow. That is pretty impressive.
Kind of crazy.
It's 60 today.
Yeah, did it hit 1060?
1060, yeah.
1068 was the high, the 52-week high. So you're bumping up against the 52-week high. Not that I follow stocks in any way or know anything about it, but you're actually challenging Bitcoin at this point. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna track soon.
It's not clear what's worth more. It looks like right now Bitcoin is worth more than a share of Google. It's at $11.93.50.
How many Bitcoins are there in the universe, and how many shares of Google are there in the universe?
Ah, that's a good question. I know the total number of Bitcoin I think is capped at 21 million, but that's kind of irrelevant because Bitcoins are infinitely sliceable, unlike a Google stock.
Yeah.
Okay, Google, how many Bitcoins are there?
Are you using the Chrome version of that?
Yes, of course I am.
Of course you are.
It didn't give me an answer.
Let me try it. Oh, I'm not using Chrome. I'm using Safari. I don't get to do it. And my Moto X is in the other room. Hey, good deal if you wanted a Moto X. The unsubsidized price of a Moto G, which is pretty similar to a Moto X, just a little bit slower, is now I think $179. That's a good price, boy.
Amazing.
Just shows you. Just shows you.
And there was the Moto X was also unsubsidized on sale, but they had a major problem on the day of sale.
What was
they
that?
offered it. It was a Cyber Monday offer. People were supposed to come in and get any of their offers, and it was like my joke on Twitter was that this is what they get for having the White House build the system.
It was a $150 discount, but nobody could get it. So they're rerunning the promotion, by the way. If you wanted it, you'll have 2 more chances to get an unlocked, unsubsidized Moto X for $350, very much like the Nexus 5. Noon Eastern today. So it started at 9 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, they've already sold out for today.
Oh!
So if you want a Moto X, and that's what my primary phone is, a Moto X.
I love the Moto X.
At 9 a.m. Pacific, noon, I think.
Monday.
Yep, that's the next chance to get it.
How long did it take to sell out, Matt? You know?
I checked just before the show, and it was already sold out. So it only took at most a few hours.
Wow. Did they say how many? What is the number that they have?
They increased the number, whatever it was.
Yeah, they said they doubled the number or something. And I've read a lot of stories that say the Moto X sales are disappointing, but then there was another good story that said, no, that was the last 3 weeks of the quarter, and that was on one carrier where they had Moto Maker, and so now it's a lot more available. So it seems like a lot of people are getting them.
I thought I love it, and I try them all. I've had all the phones, all the hot phones. I like the Nexus 5 a lot, but I stick with the Moto X. It's got KitKat now, and I just because of the additional little features. I know Jeff sent his back, but
I think I consider the Nexus 5 I'm pleased with. At an equal price, maybe the features might have pushed me to the Moto X. I was not negative on the Moto X. I just wanted to hold out for the Nexus 5.
And the Nexus 5 has a bigger screen, arguably a better screen because it's much higher resolution. Yeah. And there's no question it has a much better camera. Yeah. The Moto X camera is still disappoints, unfortunately. However, all in all, just because of the size and the features, I try as I might, and you know me, I change phones a lot. This phone is sticky on my. I can't get rid of it. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's certainly, and I thought at the time, and I still think this, it's a phone that's going to be a sleeper. I also think that we're due for an upgrade. I would not be surprised to see a 1080p Moto X in the next few months.
Oh, that would be cool.
I just feel like that we got to be getting close to that.
I actually broke my Moto X on Halloween. My costume didn't have any pockets, and I dropped it right on the bathroom floor.
Wait. What were you, Matt?
I was the Dread Pirate Roberts, but I was the Silk Road version. So
you were loaded with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was going to trade Bitcoins, and I had iocane powder in one pocket, and so I dropped my Moto X, and I actually bought a new one at full price, the developer version, because I was like, yeah, the Moto X is, and I am on Verizon. The Nexus 5 is not on Verizon, so that's one tricky part, but it's a really good
Verizon.
You even grew a mustache for this.
I did, yes.
Look at that.
A little bit of the pencil mustache. My wife had tights or teggings, or I don't know what you call them, but they didn't have pockets, and so I tried to put the phone in the gloves, and then they just fell right out.
Looks good. And the iocane in the pocket, very handy.
I had a sword left over from being Inigo Montoya a few years ago.
My name is Inigo Montoya. This is not so very different, frankly, from the Inigo Montoya costume.
No, it's a pretty similar costume. Yeah, you put some black stuff and you're good to go.
The lines are different. That's about it. That's about it. So now I just want to toot my own horn here. Because when Andy Rubin left the Android group and they said, well, he's going to go to a moonshot, I immediately said, I bet he's going to robotics. You remember that, Jeff?
Yep, you did. You did, boss.
Because I knew that he had job experience in the field, but more importantly, he had a love of robotics that if you apparently you see at his house where robots did everything from answer the door to make the coffee. Well, now, according to John Markoff of the New York Times, Google and Andy Rubin are working on robots. They've acquired kind of
7 companies.
Quietly, 7 companies to do robots, including, by the way, robot drones that can deliver stuff. So take that, Jeff Bezos. I think this is really cool. Now, apparently, the focus will be on robots to do manufacture, not consumer robots.
B2B.
Yeah, but you know, that's a little disappointing.
Well, what interested me about the stories is the idea of Google getting into warehousing.
Amazon-style warehousing.
Yeah, that was fascinating as an angle here.
What would Google keep in those warehouses?
Hard drives. Who knows?
Lots of glasses.
Well, it would become a facilitator of commerce.
Yeah, Google's not going to change their business model so much that they're going to become an Amazon competitor. However,
well, but in the long run, what is advertising but selling stuff? And the closer you get to the transaction, the more you know.
Right.
The more you facilitate the transaction, the more you know. I find it odd because it's such a specialized business. It's so expensive. But it's weird you have Amazon and Google meeting in the middle, right? Because Google just announced new discounts and a lot more for its cloud service. It's going into more heavy competition with Amazon Web Services. And so who knows?
And I guess if you're going to sell autonomous vehicles, you need somewhere to keep them.
All those carburetors.
Cars or something.
Wait, this is the point where we say that while Matt Cutts works for Google, he's not representing Google at this point, and anything he says cannot be used against him in a court of law.
Right.
Do you run into Andy on the campus once in a while? Is he?
I saw him in downtown Los Altos one day.
Oh.
And there was some story that was claiming that he had a secret office in downtown Los Altos or something, and you could sort of look up the stairway and see some humanoid robot, sort of figure. And so I actually did walk down, and I was like, you could kind of peer up into the window and see something. It's a pretty neat little Easter egg. But it seems like a pretty intriguing idea. Larry and Sergey and all those guys have always been interested in energy and transportation and hard science stuff, landing on the moon, and so things like robots, you can definitely see where that would appeal to them. As far as warehousing, one thing that I've been really impressed with lately is Google Shopping Express, and that's working with retailers and trying to find ways to let the retailers get the existing products that they've already got in stock to people. I've been surprised at how many people, when they give it a try, it's really in the Bay Area right now, they kind of get hooked on it pretty quickly.
I've had conversations with eBay about this stuff, eBay, PayPal, and for local advertising and such. And the challenge, to a great extent, is to get local merchants to put their inventory on in a form that is readable so that you can sell it. And so, Google, I would think, could be a master at helping companies create databases of their stuff. What do you have in stock? What is available for sale right now? Then delivery or sale is kind of a short hop, but knowing what you have to sell is a data challenge.
So if you're in Northern California, which is the only place Google Shopping Express works, a bunch of merchants involved with this. Mostly, they're all brick and mortar, although most of them, as what you'd expect with almost anybody these days, do sell online as well. So what is Google? Is this like a Groupon kind of thing for Google?
It's more like, so for example, this weekend I was putting up my Christmas lights. And so I was using some Scotch masking tape, and I finished out the roll. And there's an app or a web page where you basically say, okay, I want, Scotch masking tape. And there's a local Walgreens nearby, and they're like, okay, it's $1.99, and it's either, free delivery, or it depends on when you joined and what sort of a member you are. But you can basically say, yes, I want this masking tape delivered to me, 3 hours later or 6 p.m. tonight. And it saves me the errand, So anytime you would be running.
Wait. So did you have masking tape delivered to your house? How imperial can you get that kind?
Bring me the masking tape.
So I went ahead and ordered 3 of them so that it wouldn't be just like, hey, here's a piece of gum, kind of thing. But it's surprisingly convenient. And once you start using it, you're like, wow, this is, instead of the 20 minutes to run to the store, I can go and tackle something else. You're kind of like, hey, this is really nice. And it's, or like you want to get big 24 packs of water delivered, instead of hoofing it yourself and hurting your back, someone will just drop that right off.
Can't be cost effective, though. Really. So here's a sriracha, normally $2.50, $1.99. I'm going to add that to my cart. It's from Nob Hill. Now, is there a big old delivery fee? Let's just see if I can get a little sriracha delivered. Delivery's free, nominally $4.99. There's also a $10 first order credit.
It's going to go out of manufacture, Leo, because it's causing stink in the neighborhood where it's made. So order some more right now.
I know. And you get a free trial membership. You need a Google Wallet.
Right, but you've got that. Leo, if Petaluma is in the delivery area.
It's not, alas.
Oh, sadly. Okay, but it's pretty interesting to sign up, because during this sort of trial period, it's pretty fascinating how quickly you get used to it if you don't have to worry as much about the delivery fees. So.
Yeah. Now there will be a delivery fee eventually.
Yeah.
So they're working with retailers, right?
Yes, that's it exactly.
And who does the delivery? Does Google or does Walmart or whoever?
Google does the delivery.
Google does.
They work with existing retailers, to go through the back or even pull something off of the shelf and then just bring it right to your door.
I had this fantasy. I saw a picture of one of these guys doing it, and I thought, he calls home and says, "Mom, Dad, I'm working for Google. Yay, son, you finally made good. What are you doing?" "I'm delivering masking tape to some imperial guy who wants it at
It's not exactly the internship you were hoping for. I just don't understand why Google's getting in this business. This is historically a very tough business. Amazon has made no money ever because they invest everything they make back into building, more than 90 distribution centers.
Truly, but here's a big difference. Amazon competes with local retailers. Watch out, Jeff Bezos, Washington Post. eBay serves local retailers and trying to get them on more.
Google does.
There's going to be a big push. eBay does.
eBay.
Does. So Google comes into this, and Google's going the eBay side of that and saying, well, we're also going to, I think, so far, they're saying we're going to serve the retailers.
But so what is Google's end of the business here? They have to run a fleet of trucks?
There's useful data, and you think about the routing algorithms, in order to deliver packages effectively. That's kind of like when you say, I want to go from one address to another address, and you want to do that efficiently.
Yeah.
Except it's multiple points, multiple deliveries. It quickly becomes an actual computer science problem.
But you don't. Well, maybe you do. You tell me. Does Google do stuff just because it's an interesting problem?
Well, yeah, a lot of engineers get really interested in stuff. Problem. But I don't think Larry and Sergey would pursue it if they didn't see an end goal that they thought was worthwhile.
You don't turn it into a business just because it's well. And I watched the 60 Minutes interview with Jeff Bezos, and I thought that was fascinating. And one of the things they pointed out is that the bins in the fulfillment centers are contained with apparently random items. The algorithm is to pack it, so they fit as many things as they can into those bins, and it's purely based on the size and dimensions of the item. And then they trust their automated systems to get the proper item from the. It's basically how I do my wine cellar. I actually spent some time thinking about this. What would be the best way to map out a wine cellar so that you would know exactly where the wine you want was? So I created a fleet of robots. It's an interesting problem. It seems like a strange business for Google to get into because they're not selling the product, they're not stocking the product, they're in the delivery. They're a fulfillment center.
The next step is self-driving vehicles
or drones.
I don't believe that. Do you?
Google is also doing drones, according to the L.A. Times. Amazon, of course, and I think Jeff Bezos just was playing Charlie Rose in 60 Minutes when he showed the Amazon drones.
Oh, my God, said Charlie.
But, yeah, he was so impressed without, of course, thinking of the issue of, for instance, these unprotected 8 rotor blades flying through the air at eye level at your house. But apparently, UPS and Google, according to unnamed sources, are testing and evaluating different ways they could add drones to delivery vehicles. UPS has not confirmed the report, but says it's an interesting technology and will continue to evaluate it. Reports from as far back as February by 9 to 5 Google say Google has been testing mini drone delivery systems that it would like to use with Google Shopping Express.
Fast forward 10 or 15 years.
I hope not. I don't want to live in a world where there's competing copters flying around.
Well, maybe it's not drones. Maybe it is self-driving cars and Andy Rubin's robots. Who knows?
It does. Drones save you money over trucks. Despite all the complications of this. But again, it seems like there are other businesses that would be quicker and easier to enter than this very challenging kind of hybrid brick and mortar business. But so did you think that Andy's working on stuff like the shopping?
I really don't know, but
right.
It does seem like he's been interested in robots for a long time. Even some of the earliest stories about him mentioned how well his house is wired up, all that kind of stuff. No, it seemed to me that if Andy Rubin's going to leave Android, by the way, the name of the Android is Android. And I'm sure Andy had something to do with that. If Andy's going to leave Android to do a moonshot, seems like the first thing I'd put him at do.
Philosophically, Leo, I think Matt did touch on it. Is that the time that Matt saved not going to the Walgreens to get the masking tape, it's freed up his time, and that's what we constantly hear from Larry and Sergey is freeing up the human capital of time and attention.
Well, I understand, if you're Amazon and you're trying to compete against a brick and mortar, the only thing a brick and mortar offers that you don't is the ability to go get it and have it today.
Right.
And so it makes perfect sense for Amazon to be exploring whatever means it can for same-day delivery. That just seems sensible.
But Amazon's challenge is how many how many physical warehouses can they build in close proximity to how much population versus if Google and or eBay can tame the inventory that already exists in the field and then can turn around and say, I have an order for masking tape. Mr. Cutts doesn't care where it comes from. Who wants this order? Who's going to give me the best price for this? And we'll come pick it up and we'll take it to Mr. Cutts. And we'll take our cut of Mr. Cutts' order along the way, but it starts a marketplace of physical sales. And if you can enable that, it's powerful.
I mean, you pay to have pizza delivered to you. If something's sufficiently interesting or useful to you compared to pizza, or saves you the time of making dinner, or saves you
pizza,
the time
you have to have delivered to you because if you shipped it by truck, it would take too long. But there is a food service at Petaluma Food Taxi, that supports many of the restaurants in town, and I use it at least weekly.
We showed the video from Pizza Hut beating Amazon to the punch, delivering a pizza by drone.
Right. But yeah, okay. It just seems like this is a business Google's not in. It's kind of like the healthcare website, because the challenge is, if you don't control the products, is in coordinating, all these disparate databases, having them somehow interface with you.
And that's what I'm saying, Leo. If
it's a data
Google
problem, I understand.
It's like OpenTable has become the point of sale reservation service for every restaurant. They intended to do it as a consumer service. They found that their real business was handling the back end for every restaurant, and then the front end consumer business became an add-on, gravy, right?
Yeah.
And I would argue at some point that if Google as a data service says to every retailer, they don't have this yet, but I would say that they and eBay were going to be in a fight to say, we become your inventory management system. And if we have your inventory, look what they can do with that. And then they don't need warehouses. They don't need inventory risk. They don't need all of that. They'll just say, we'll sell whoever has the damn masking tape.
As long as we can interface with their systems and that we can,
Or we are their system. No. I'm saying we are their system.
We provide the system.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to emphasize, like Amazon, they have their own warehouses, and Google Shopping Express explicitly says, let's work with retailers.
Right.
But what I've been impressed about is, number one, if they say they have a product, they don't come back later and say, oh, it turns out we don't have that product. Someone took it off the shelves. That's been pretty good. And just the fact that you can actually schedule a delivery window. I mean, I don't know about you, but I often spend a lot of my weekend doing errands. And if I can knock those out and, pay a very small fee, or maybe even no fee.
I agree.
Then that time is worth, something.
That's why, as Harry Lime in our chat room says, a lot of science fiction featured pneumatic tubes.
Yeah.
Because it would just, your sriracha sauce.
Oh, I love those things on newspapers. I just love
them.
When we came back drunk from the bar, the things we would put in it.
Oh, God. I really wanted to get a pneumatic. I actually researched a pneumatic tube system for here.
Oh, it would have been great. Oh, it would have been beautiful.
I really wanted that. I still do.
When they arrive, it's that thwop.
Right.
Which is great.
And what you see in that, what I just said, is what really is happening at Google. Because I have fantasies about things I would like to do, but of course don't have the resources to do it. What if you took people and you gave them infinite resources and said, now what do you want to do? Pneumatic tubes to every home in the United States is not so far-fetched.
With a little fiber attached to it.
Yeah, a little fiber tube. It might be more sensible for both Jeff Bezos and Larry Page to start working on what do they call them in Star Trek, where they make the food for you?
Oh, the synthesizers.
Yeah, some sort of synthesizing.
3D food printers.
3D food printers.
Well, Sergey kind of is, right? His hamburger.
Of course, that's right. Of course. So. Replicators, that's it.
Yep.
I want just put a replicator in every home. You don't need to deliver anything. How hard could that be?
Well, we also have a story in here that Google's going to grow plants on the moon.
And it just lets you think this is pie in the sky.
Well, it is in the sky,
or Brussels sprouts in the sky. It is with the help of NASA.
Or NASA with the help of Google, and really more to the case. It's part of the SpaceX project. So they're going to put up a pod up there that's going to plant some seeds and see how they do.
Once the lander arrives on the moon, water will be added to basil, turnip, and Arabidopsis, a small flowering plant, seeds kept in the habitat, then monitored for 5 to 10 days and compared to controls back on the Earth. NASA will also monitor the actual habitat itself. Wow. Currently,
it ought to be. No, wait a second here. I think it qualifies as evil to spread turnips in the universe.
Currently, the chamber can support 10 basil seeds, 10 turnip seeds, but 100 Arabidopsis seeds. It also holds a little bit of water. So it's a small project, a pilot project.
Yeah.
Just a little tiny matter of putting something on the moon.
I think, Jeff, contrary to what you've just asserted, the turnip is a perfect food. It may not be palatable.
It's only slightly better than what I consider a product of radioactivity, which is the Brussels sprout.
I love the Brussels sprout.
Oh, you would.
To each his own.
Oh, God, they're awful.
Wait a minute. I think I could do a Google search on the nutritional value of a turnip. It might be just a pure starch, but it just seems to me that a turnip might also be a perfect protein. You never know.
Okay, Google, what is the nutritional value of a turnip?
34 calories per medium turnip. See, it's low cal. No, very little fat, cholesterol, or sodium. Nice potassium load. 8 grams of carbohydrates. No vitamin A, little vitamin C, a lot of vitamin C. There's a high in vitamin C.
They'll make soylent turnips where they make it taste better.
Soylent turnips. Well, I figured turnip is like the basic root that you could pump into a replicator turnip puree, and anything could be made of it. From steak to Hot Wheels. It's like the ultimate raw material is a turnip. Now let's do a Wolfram Alpha comparing a turnip to a Brussels sprout.
This is Google. That you can do versus, and it'll show you.
See,
both.
Turnips are much lower calorie, much lower fat.
What's the quotient of evil?
They're a little more sodium, a little less potassium, lower carb, high in fiber, not as much as a turnip. I mean, a Brussels sprout is. I don't know if we've learned anything here.
All right, how about versus French fry?
Yeah.
Oh.
A turnip versus.
What about a turnip fry? I bet if we grew up in an alternate universe, you would have turnip fries. It's a root vegetable. You slice it up.
Yep, allrecipes.com. Crispy turnip fries recipe.
That got a weird result.
Rutabaga versus French fries.
It obviously says turnip.
That's a turnip. Is that a rutabaga?
I
don't know. Maybe a bug report.
I could choose between boiled.
I don't know.
Roasted turnips with Parmesan.
No, that's quite good, actually. Because of the Parmesan. The turnip is just a substrate. It's like it is really a Parmesan holder. All right, Andy Rubin, get to work. Make something with turnips.
So rutabaga is a type of turnip? Maybe.
I don't know. And to be honest, I frankly don't care.
Gina, come back. Look how far we're going off. Gina, you must be here.
So what did you think of the Jeff? What did you think of the Jeff Bezos drone reveal? Was that pure theater? Was he serious about it? Is Amazon really going to ever deliver stuff with drones, or Google?
I almost envisioned that he was making a joke on Charlie and then felt bad and couldn't say, I'm joshing you here, fella.
Just kidding, Charlie. No, I think I don't know. I mean, I think Jeff was sincere. I think he thought in his mind, it'll be apparent to anyone that this is purely blue sky research and that we are not anywhere close to actually getting these off the ground. But they did. I mean, they have a video that shows it working.
And imagine taking stuff to a remote village. Imagine using drones to take
things. It's been used, according to the MIT Technology Review, it has been used in Haiti.
Yeah.
So it is in fact drone delivery is a reality. It's not a imaginary. It's got its problems. There's some issues involved. They talked to a professor of aeronautics at MIT. Technically, it's totally feasible. Of course, the question is, will the FAA allow it? And they should, says John Hansman, professor of aeronautics. And if the business case makes sense, he thinks it would cost a lot. You'd have to pay a lot for that. But Matternet, which is a Singularity University funded project, and Aria Logistics, which is building an autonomous logistics infrastructure, is working on this kind of thing. But instead of putting them on the front sidewalk, they would put them on predetermined pads, which seems like that would solve the haircut batteries problem.
They can go like 30 miles at a pop and go and just go pad to pad to pad.
Right. Matternet tested drones as a way to deliver supplies to refugee camps in Haiti. They found it cost only 20 to 70 cents to deliver a 2-kilogram package 10 kilometers, which is 5 times less expensive, 1/5 the cost of a truck.
Wow. Wow.
So this is not completely pie in the sky.
Don't imagine
Or
things
rutabagas
like
in the sky.
organ transplant.
Yeah. Get that liver out here.
Yeah. After you have the turnips and you need it.
Here is a boy. I just think we like the idea of these quadcopters, these autonomous drones. Here's a drone delivering to a refugee camp in Port-au-Prince. God, stand back.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to Tim Pool, who's this wonderful guy he's the guy who live streamed Occupy Wall Street for 21 hours.
Oh yeah.
And he said that he would never use a titanium whirly drone because it could, kill somebody.
Right.
But if you use the smaller drones with a little plastic,
Yeah, a little rubber drone.
What he really wants, and he's right, is you want a blimp on top of that.
Oh.
Like you want it so it doesn't just drop.
Right, a balloon drop.
Yeah, so it's a tiny dirigible.
Or make them out of Nerf.
Well,
Nobody was ever hurt by a Nerf drone.
Turnip drones. We've got it.
Some of the the Parrot quadcopter has that sort of foam to protect it.
Yeah.
And then Chris Anderson and 3D Robotics, they're really big into drones, and there's been some interesting stuff with drones where you can buy them as a service, and they'll basically take a picture of your farm or your vineyard or whatever with very high resolution, like 4 centimeter resolution, and stitch that together, and then you can do that as an overlay on a Google map or something like that. And you can just basically define, this is the path, or this is the the outline of what I want you to take a picture of. And so it's one of these things where we're all laughing about drones right up until they kind of materialize and turn out to be pretty realistic.
We will live in the future any minute now. Matt Cutts is here from Google. Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. We're talking about Google. Gina Trapani has the month off, I'm sad to say, as she relocates to Brooklyn, but she'll be back with us.
I'm happy about that.
I'm very happy because she's going to be happier in Williamsburg or wherever she's going. Happier in the Brooklyn. Actually, I don't know where in Brooklyn.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah. Our show today brought to you by Atlassian. I guess there's no. I was going to do a little contest. What is used by over 20,000 companies, including 70% of the Fortune 100, 70% of the Fortune 100, and NASA? What can be used to follow code development through delivery in one system using Git? What can be used with REST APIs to track your project, to track your code, to keep track of what you're doing? It's Atlassian's Jira project management software. Jira is one of the world's most powerful and customizable issue and project management systems, capturing and organizing your workflow so you can prioritize and take action on what's important while staying up to date with the activity going on around you. As you know, these projects are hard to manage, but a tool like Jira can make such a difference. You can easily capture, organize, and prioritize your team's issues, tasks, features, bugs. It works with Git, as I mentioned. You're not giving up your source code repository. It's just a simple, intuitive interface for collaborating with other team members in real time. And, of course, seamlessly integrating your planning documents, your backlog, your issues, and your code repository, wherever it might be, all in one platform. Set up any business process you can manage so your team works the way you want. I'm fascinated by this stuff. The same way we're using technology to solve these problems in things like, logistics and package delivery. Technology makes such a big difference when you're working together on a big project. Use email, chat to stay in the loop. You can even use Twitter mentions or RSS. Monitor streams of activity or self-updating reports and dashboards. You're always in the know. And, of course, as your project grows, you can grow infinitely in any direction with hundreds of Jira add-ons, including test management, time tracking, project management, many, many, many more. If you've got code, Jira ties everything together from an initial planning document to the files and change sets in your code repository right through to deployment. Jira, flexible enough for a 5-person startup, powerful enough for a 100,000-person enterprise. That's why so many use Jira. And we want you to try it by you can get it free for 30 days, going to Atlassian.com/twig, SIAN.com/twig for more information on Jira. Monthly plans start at $10 a month for up to 10 users, so it's very affordable, but free for the first 30 days. Atlassian.com/twig. Try Jira today. Comes from Gojira, the Japanese name for Godzilla. Gojira. Gojira. Speaking of the cloud, Google, as you mentioned, you kind of touched on this, Jeff Jarvis, is slashing prices on its compute cloud, going again against Amazon. This is another thing Amazon does. Google's got the compute engine, a year and a half old now. I guess that was a preview. So it's now generally, I didn't realize this because I know so many people use it. It is now generally available, including a SLA that guarantees 99.95% uptime. 16 core instances, faster persistent disks. This is so cool that you can have a 16-core compute cloud. Just think of all the things. Now, compute engine is a commercial product, right? I mean, do you have any information on this, Matt?
Well, I just the standard sort of, I know for a long time people have wanted to be able to use Google infrastructure to do their sort of tasks, whether it's storage or computing or whatever, and now we're sort of filling that out. You can sort of see that picture of whether it's data storage or querying over that storage or doing large-scale computation, whatever it is, we want to be able to.
This makes sense to me. I mean, you've had App Engine since 2008. This just makes sense. This is. I mean, Google's got they've solved the infrastructure problem. Snapchat uses compute engine, Evite, Wix. So this seems like a business that makes sense for Google to be in compared to shopping delivery. I mean, because you've got the infrastructure. Is it like CompuServe was, which H&R Block had a bunch of computers they weren't using? They said, well, we'll rent these out.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, we have a lot more computers than almost anyone else.
Right.
And so we use those computers a lot, but we also know an awful lot about utilization, how to get the most out of the CPU and the RAM. You want to have enough so that you can have some spikes, but you don't want to, waste that CPU and that RAM. And so there's a lot of wiggle room there where you can bring in, people who want to do computing jobs, and it's relatively minor compared to Google's overall fleet of computers, and so we can fold that in and have it run and be available in a very highly persistent way.
Right. But will it be sentient like Stephen Wolfram's compute cluster? That's the question.
Yeah, we need to make sure all our code names are cute and cuddly, not like Skynet or the Terminator.
You got to be careful.
Borg, yeah.
You got to be careful. No, I think this really is very powerful, empowering technology that makes it possible. Well, for like these two guys at Stanford to create Snapchat, they didn't have to. I remember when Kevin Rose set up Dig, and what a big deal it was to find a colo and to get the servers and to provision the servers. You had to do almost all the heavy lifting yourself, and you had to raise money because it was very expensive. And so it kept people from just trying ideas.
The unreliability of Blogger at the beginning. I mean, it nearly died. 5% people were ready to scream for Ev, and the poor guy's just trying to throw in some more chewing gum into his servers.
Yeah. It's a big deal. And now you can be Snapchat. You can just be a couple of frat brothers in Stanford, and you go, hey, we don't have to do any of that. Just use compute engine.
Well, I think there's a feature server war that's going to go on too. 2 weeks ago, we didn't talk about it on the show, but Amazon, AWS, announced new high reliability, fast delivery of things like games and high data applications, so that you could put more on the cloud, less on the end, share things in new ways. I think we're going to find more services adding on to the cloud world that will enable tons, untold numbers of companies to use that functionality to build new things.
Yeah.
Eric Schmidt talks about how some of the limits of the early technology companies were based on the regulatory nature of what you could get over at T1.
That's right.
So when you open things up and you create this new functionality as true platforms,
it's huge.
What innovators can do will be amazing.
It's huge, and we're already seeing it. I mean, that's why Snapchat's worth $3 billion in just a couple of years, or Instagram's worth $1 billion. A couple of engineers, and Instagram's worth $1 billion. I think Instagram uses S3. And,
Well, and I remember talking
AWS.
to Brett Taylor way back when he was a product manager before, Facebook, and he would sort of, I think he had a pool of friends that they got together and had a shared server, and you think back to 2007.
So hard to do.
Feed, you were doing all that stuff by hand, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't have to deal with that sort of minutia if you're just trying to set up a service. So.
Well, it's the difference between pumping your own water and bringing it to the kitchen and turning on the faucet. It's a huge difference in the capabilities, and that's exciting. I'm thrilled to hear that there's competition because that keeps prices down, and so forth. And it's not just Google and Amazon. There's Rackspace. There's a lot of companies doing this now. I guess I should bring this up since we have the king himself. Smartphone crawling errors in the Webmaster Tools.
Right.
What is that?
This is something we just did a blog post earlier today about this. So if you go back and you look at Black Friday and Cyber Monday's stats, you'll see a lot of people saying, mobile was an unexpectedly large amount of traffic.
Yeah.
From people.
It was like 187% growth.
Yeah, it's huge.
Year over year.
Over and over again at search conferences, I say mobile is coming faster than you expect. Get ready for it. And yet people really haven't. And so you look at these stats and they're like, oh, IBM says, this much more came from mobile. And if you try to buy things on a mobile phone, it's really frustrating. So we're trying to help webmasters and site owners and publishers figure out how to get ready for a mobile world. And one of the most common mistakes that people make is things work fine on the desktop, but whenever you go to a smartphone, you get redirected to an error page, or you always go to the same page. And so we're basically just surfacing whenever we crawl as a regular desktop user, as Googlebot, versus as a mobile phone, what sort of strange behaviors do we see that you might want to fix? So it's not like this is web spam or anything like that, but it is like, if you have an unusually large number of errors, then you want to think about, okay, what am I doing wrong? I need to go and fix things so that it works fine for smartphones.
How common it is? I get the faulty redirect a lot on mobile.
Yeah, it's really common. Like, so far, mobile is still the unloved stepchild, and it's like this is the stepchild who's like the overachiever genius, and yet no one is really paying attention to it.
Right.
And so with time, things will get allocated correctly and appropriately, but right now people don't realize how much mobile matters. And so, for example, there's a request autocomplete, and there's a new service from Google to let you buy with Google Wallet. Like something like 1% of transactions that are mobile end up succeeding because people are like, oh, I'm not going to type in my form, while I'm on a mobile phone. And so there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe that, like request autocomplete, that turns it into like 2 clicks to fill out a form. And if your website enables that, it just lowers the friction for buying things on a tablet or on a phone.
Well, that's the plug to use Google services, but also you probably should fix these errors in general.
Yeah, exactly. Or responsive design. Just, employ a tablet or a phone and make sure that your website doesn't look completely sucky. Like that's level 1.
Right.
Just do that.
Well, yeah, and I'm still guilty of this. I have a mobile site on my blog, my personal blog, as well as a desktop site. And that's so 2006. I mean, you really should have a single design, right?
It can still work, but if you don't think about mobile at all, then it's probably going to come back to bite you.
Right. So
Matt,
this is
one thing I've been wondering about is a lot of people still include tablets and mobile, and I don't. I tablets to me are the new laptops. Mm-hmm. How does Google look at in terms of traffic? How do you categorize what mobile means?
Yeah, that is really tricky because is it by resolution or is it by screen size? And different people, whether it's Google Analytics or Webmaster Tools, might have slightly different opinions about that. That's something that we'll still have to figure out exactly because, it even goes down to Android versus Chrome. For a long time it was like, well, Chrome is the thing that has a keyboard,
Right.
but that distinction doesn't make as much sense as the devices start to converge. But even if you handle smartphones, normally tablets will still work okay. So it's worth doing some thinking about, but it depends on how much resources you have.
I'm sorry, I was busy uploading the verification file to my Leoville so I could check for crawling errors in your Webmaster Tools.
That's great.
That's a nice feature, I have to say, and I do use it on the Twit site, but. I think this is is this a new verification system? It seems a lot easier than it used to be.
Yeah, it turns out one of the main ways that people failed to register with Webmaster Tools is, they didn't know how to upload a file to their site, or they didn't know how to change their DNS. And so we're trying to make it easier and easier, even working with some web hosts, so that like if you use GoDaddy, it could be like automatically.
It's just there. Yeah. All right. Well, I shouldn't probably be doing this right now.
It's not one click yet. We're still.
I'll save this for another time when I'm not doing a show. It's great to have you. Matt Cutts is here from the Goog, as well as, of course, Jeff Jarvis from the City University of New York. Jeff's latest book is Public Parts, as you mentioned. We didn't want to see his teeth, but there you go. Public is public. Oh, get back, get back. Jeff is also...
Two crowns.
Two crowns. Was that painful?
To the wallet, $3,000.
Whoa.
I cracked one, and then 6 days later, the one next to it cracked.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. When they go, they start to go at once.
Oh, thanks a lot. Jesus.
Oh.
That delivers a lot of messages.
Jeff and I are the same age, and we're both falling apart. Basically, we're falling. Don't ever get old, Matt. Just stay young. Yeah. Stay forever young. What is your 30-day challenge this month?
Well,
have you got one?
I'm getting a little older, and so I kind of threw my back out a couple months ago. So my 30-day challenge is to do stretches like cat and camel,
good.
And try to limber up a little bit. So
have you found? I mean, the premise of this 30-day challenge, for those who don't know, is that if you do anything for 30 days, it becomes a habit, and then you can continue to do it. I know I'm fiddling with my mic because it's wobbly. Wobbly. So that's my 30-day challenge, to stop fiddling with myself. What's
a master of your microphones?
Master of my domain. So what, Matt, have you found in that regard? You've done a lot of 30-day challenges now. Have they all become part of your life?
Well, it lets me take it out for a test drive. Like, it turns out I don't really want to be vegan, but I really appreciate knowing what it's like to be vegan.
It's a long time to be vegan.
Yeah. So, but I find that the exercise ones tend to stick. I've started to actually run more and walk more and bike more, and started taking a swimming class recently. So that stuff surprisingly sticks, which is a good habit to add to your life.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, you said you're going to do stretches.
Yeah.
I think that's good. I don't stretch enough. No one stretches enough.
Well, and it's, therapeutic for your back, like cat and camel, to try to,
we call it cat-cow.
Yeah, exactly, yes. So you're not slouching forward all day long, that kind of stuff.
Ah, that's good.
So, Matt, was there a challenge that you hated more than any other and couldn't wait till it was over and said, I'm never doing that again?
No sugar. Yeah, that sucks.
That's a tough one. But do you mean, when you say no sugar, you mean no sugar added or just no sugar?
Well, no, like artificial sugar, like grapes were okay.
Okay, so you can have sweet stuff, but you can't put a teaspoon of sugar in your coffee.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty hard. And I talked my wife into it, so she was very grumpy by the end of the month. So.
Yeah, what is the effect of your challenges on your family? Oh, Dad.
So far, it's actually been okay. My wife has joined me for, she's sort of been shanghaied into doing a couple like the vegan one, because it's, if I'm vegan, she
has to do it.
Has to be vegan.
Yeah.
But a couple of them, like not watching TV for 30 days, she's like, yeah, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to watch TV.
Well, I gotta do about 100 different things, so I'll pick one and we'll do it. Something for 30 days. Yeah. Something. Maybe it's managing your finances. Maybe it's keeping track of your assets. Maybe it's planning your future. I've got a tool that will help. Personalcapital.com. The more progress you make in your it's kind of catch-22. The more progress you make in your financial life, the more complicated it is to manage. The more overwhelming it can be. It's easy when you're a student, you have no money, nothing to worry about. But then you get a job, you get a career, you've got accounts everywhere, checking, savings, you got a retirement account, I hope, credit cards, perhaps you've got investments, mortgages, of course, loans. I got a plan for you that's free, that's easy, that lets you see the puzzle all at once, a complete overview. Don't have incomplete intel. This is about knowing what's going on in your financial life. Charts, graphs, reports that tell the whole story, like having a financial GPS. And you can use it for free. Personalcapital.com/twig is the address. Personalcapital.com/twig. Signing up takes minutes. You're going to give it some account information. It's completely secure and safe. They store that account information in the same place that the banks do. In fact, in most cases, the banks, I mean, this company already has your information. And it's really a really great way to find out what's going on. You can get some great financial advice. Start today, personalcapital.com/twig. We interviewed Bill Harris. Is it Bill Harris? I think that's his name, who started Personal Capital. Do you know him? It seems like you would know him, Jeff Jarvis.
No, I don't.
He was CEO of eBay for a while, I think, or was it PayPal? Really interesting fella. We interviewed him on our triangulation show, and he's really up on the future of finance and so forth. Fascinating stuff. He was former CEO of PayPal and of Intuit. That's it. There you go. And one of the things we talked about, which was fascinating, is the is virtual currencies and the issues of authentication and stuff. Really smart guy. It was a fun triangulation. And I'm pleased to say I started using Personal Capital when we interviewed him, which was more than a year ago, and I love it. It's a great product. Personalcapital.com/twig. All right, let's see. I'm not going to download that HTML verification file till after the show. Hangouts now have telethons.
There's a couple of bit of Hangout news, but yeah.
Yeah, well, let's do some Hangout. Let's do some Hangout news.
So there's that, and then I just put this, I added it to the bottom of the Google section there. Toyota just introduced a collaborative tool for making cars and stuff using Hangouts. So it's an interesting commercial use of Hangouts from Google. Vic Condotra just announced this afternoon.
Well, so let's start with the first one. We'll do both. So the Hangout-a-thon has to do with Giving Tuesday. So Hangouts on Giving Tuesday, organizations like UNICEF, Charity Water, Save the Children, the Malala Fund, the Trevor Project, and others will be involved, asking donors to help. Starting, well, I guess it's over. This was yesterday. Oh, we missed it.
Today's Wednesday, yes.
Oh, dang nabbit. Well, it's not too late to give some money. Do you think there'll be more of these? This is kind of a neat idea. I don't know how much they raised, but what a great idea. And thank you, Google, for doing it.
Yep.
So I didn't see it. Did they rotate through the different groups, or how did they do it?
I didn't see it either.
Different celebrities come in, and each.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner, and yeah.
Oh.
Kind of fun.
I wish they gotten Jerry Lewis, though.
The nice thing about these, of course, you can always watch after the fact because it's on YouTube. Yeah, it's not. You know what? This is the modern Jerry Lewis. If Jerry were here.
Oh, there's the wonderful Sarah Hill.
Here now for this Giving Tuesday.
You know her, Leo?
I don't.
She is wonderful. She was a news anchor in some southern city. She now works for a veterans organization. But she was the most amazing person at using Hangouts on the air and Google Glass, and she's just great.
Well, that's neat. And look at all they have a lot of people using Hangouts and talking about their stories and stuff. This is really neat.
And we were really moved, not just by the story, but...
So I hope they raise a lot of money.
Pink.
Yeah, I don't know why you look so pink, Jeff. We got to work on you. This is really neat.
She seems so strong.
Yeah.
Stood so tall.
Nice job, Google. Now, okay, so that's the, and I presume there'll be more of these. That was yesterday's Giving Tuesday with a Hangout-a-thon. Now, tell me about the story that you were talking about, Jeff.
Well, I saw something that Google just added cars to the knowledge graph, and then I saw kind of why they did that, because Toyota has introduced the collaborator. If you go to the last piece there's cars in the knowledge graph.
Okay.
Which makes sense, and it's going to be a way to help sell cars. But now, Vic just announced this, a commercial.
Buying a car is a big decision. Now with Toyota Collaborator.
So let's get started.
So this is some like salesman.
I think so.
So this reminds me of the Amazon Mayday feature on the Kindle.
Except that you're not trying to fix the Kindle, you're actually trying to sell a car.
Right. Oh, and he's got like tools. They let you pick a color
together. Oh, that's. So
I think they're a
cute.
couple. I don't think it's a
Oh,
salesman.
I think I see.
They're doing it together.
Right.
You just move your head and it looks around. That's so cool.
Oh, okay. So they're in the picker.
Test drive.
Well, I want to do that. Where can I do that? Oh, now you can do the Mayday with a guy At your local
And there's
Toyota
video
dealer.
help, right.
Yeah. Huh. I want to do that.
I hope that it eliminates car dealers.
It won't.
Don't get me.
It just gives them a camera in your house.
You can hang up on them.
You can hang up on them, which is nice. That's
Like,
really nice.
Just call back when I get someone more friendly. Never mind.
Goodbye. So apparently they demoed this at Google I/O. I must have missed that demo.
You did?
Yeah. Toyota Collaborator.
Oh, I thought it was new. Well, never mind.
Well, it is. I mean, I guess it's rolling out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, and they've been using this platform of Hangouts and, help outs and all
I
this.
love help outs. I think that's such.
Yeah.
How's that going, by the way?
I think it's going pretty well. And once you get that base there, you can build on top of it, have good APIs, and then like you saw those overlays. You could add all sorts of functionality on top of the videos, whether it's test driving a car or it's like point to where you hurt on the guy the muscles on the man or something like that. So, I think there's a lot of potential there. We'll see how that works, but having open source video codecs and all those sorts of things, are good for the web long term as well.
So Toyota.com/collaborator. Too bad I'm not in the market for a Toyota, but you can hang out with somebody, which would be a spouse or a friend. And this, I think, is a lot of times the case when you're buying a car. At least for me, I don't know anything about cars, so I would want somebody to help
Plus, my
me.
wife says I'm a rotten negotiator, so she insists on doing that.
And as you can see, I launched it, and it immediately launches Hangouts. So, Chad, you want to help me buy a car? Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's
I think Chad's doing such good work, you should buy him a car.
Okay, this is good. Chad, you need a car, right?
Let's decide which
Stern
car I should.
Bought Robin a new Mercedes. I think, Leo, it's a nice thing for you to do for your staff for Christmas. Everybody gets a new car, okay?
We've been trying to figure out what to get our staff, and I think that's
There you go.
That's quite brilliant.
Make sure it's twit blue. Be the first thing.
So it's asking for. Here it is now. Now I'm in the Hangout, Chad. Are you getting an invitation?
Yeah, I'm signing in right now, and it'll say over there. I'm in 3 Hangouts at the. Oh no, just 2. Just
You're
2.
very popular. This is cool. So do we? Apparently we have to buy a Corolla, Chad. I'm sorry.
Oh, is that the only car we can customize?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Well, wait a minute. Let's see. That we can. Well, no, you can choose a trim. The good news is it's only $16,000.
Only.
Well, I'm not going to buy you a $40,000 car. Okay, so we can rotate it. There you are. You're both in. So there you go. Chad's okay. Let's customize it here. And this is using Hangout. So what they've done is they've attached. How hard is this? What are they doing here? Matt, do you know? I mean, what is this a plug-in?
Well, I think they've got the basic API, and if you think about...
Oh, look. It's looking at my eyes. When I look left and right.
Easy.
Oh, this is neat. No, Burke, you can't have a new car. Burke's coming over. Wow, that's kind of cool.
Phenomenal.
Well, I mean, okay, let's not go crazy. I mean, it's just... it's just...
I was doing my Charlie Rose imitation. Oh, my God.
Now, how do I see the car that you have?
What do you see?
See, I over on my end, well, right now I see you, but that's because
Well, that's no fun.
I viewed you, and if I go in here, it looks like I have a different car than
you
got.
don't have the same view.
Wait.
How can I share this with you? Do I have to...
View? Current model? Oh, maybe no. Well, I mean, we're both in the same. Oh, did you?
Why don't you see the same thing I do?
Seems like I would.
Yeah. Maybe I drag you into the car. That's a little that's too intuitive. Okay.
Might still be some UI work.
So this is using stuff that's already part of. Maybe. Oh, are you in Chrome, Chad?
I'm in Safari.
No, you got it. No, there's your problem right there.
What? It's just Hangouts.
No, my friend. It's Sound Nation.
You are
Create music with your friends in Google Hangouts.
completely different. We could load up the.
Let's make some music,
we
friend.
could roll up what I use for D&D
I didn't even know
games.
about this. This is cool.
Yeah, no, these are, so Google has a built-in sort of plugin system for
That's
Hangouts.
what's going on.
Right. And so like what I do normally is there's an app called Roll20, and so I could play D&D games.
Oh, you're such a geek.
With my friends, and so we use in the Hangout we can roll dice, we can see a big board, we can do different things, and we could even like rotate our characters and stuff.
Cool.
And so this is using that platform where you can click and drag and do
we
stuff.
can do this is like GarageBand. You and I can make music together.
Yeah.
It's got samples, and I can. That's pretty amazing. And then I think this is incredible. I didn't realize this. I'm not really up on what's going on.
It changes Hangouts from just a multiple video call to a place where you can actually collaborate with people.
So here's Roll20. So we'd need to be playing a D&D game of some
right,
kind.
and so you'd
well
sign
met.
in. Well met.
Well met, friend.
Good sir.
Take me to the game. Choose a campaign to launch. I'm going to create a new campaign.
There you go.
I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here.
And so,
look.
Once you've created a campaign, you can upload images, and it'll give you a little tutorial.
So this is
in the chat,
online gaming.
Yeah, over there in that. So there's two chats, which is a little bit confusing. But like over in that other chat, you could write a /roll d20, and it would roll and keep a log of what.
So does it play
playing.
Dungeon Master?
It can't. It's
kind of an automated Dungeon Master.
No. I mean, you still need a DM.
I have to draw some stuff.
You still need a DM, but
here is my island. There are no income taxes here. No government regulation.
Google Island.
It's called Google Island.
Larry is king.
Yes. Now let's roll a dice.
Here be dragons.
Yeah, and this is your GM would use this tool to create maps,
right.
so you can see the grid. So now you know that such and such item
You
only goes 20 meters, and so you can fire that long.
Entered a dungeon.
Right. But like, click on over there on this. One of the tools is a dice roller. Not.
Yeah. Well, no, I rolled the dice. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, good. Yeah, and so you
saw
get all sorts of stuff over there.
So that's Roll20. Then there's Toyota Collaborator. So there's only really right now 3 things I can do. I can make music, I can play Dungeons and Dragons, or I can buy a Corolla.
Right.
That's
I mean, there's actually a lot. This is a full plug-in system that people,
but we need other people to.
Right, and you could read books to your children with open things like that.
That's nice because then I don't have to see the brats.
Yeah, you can do a right. You can do a remote desktop help out service where you can call.
Boy, I feel like I'm out of it. I did not realize they were doing all this cool stuff.
No idea either.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is Google Effects.
I can go in there.
Where you can add, so if I'm looking at myself, I can add a hat to it, or devil horns.
Yeah, we've seen that.
And that was kind of like the basic thing from way back when.
Right, I remember that. So this is more of that plug-in architecture.
Right.
So where do you find this?
This is a Hangouts. I mean, once you've joined a Hangout.
Look at me, Chad.
Oh, wait. I gotta. Very good, Leo. It's you have my hair. Thanks. You obviously approve.
I am looking like Chad and a dog.
Over here on the side, this is where you find them. So once you're in the Hangout, you can click this little dot, and you just add. Yeah, and you can add more apps. It gives you a whole bunch.
Oh, there's a whole lot more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see, the story before bedtime is fun. You get a whole bunch of like open source stories.
Wow.
What does YouTube do? Is that to record? Is that to
no? Just you can view YouTube videos together.
That's neat.
Right, and it syncs up. See, look now. See, Matt is on Hangouts at the moment.
Pirate Matt.
Right.
Yar.
Hipster pirate.
Yar, Mimiti. Wow, that's cool. I like this. This is a nice feature.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never seen that before. Just shows. I got to pay more. I should watch that This Week in Google show. I hear they cover this stuff pretty well. Wow. Can you say the word pirate? Oh, what are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm playing with the background.
That's okay. Keep it that way. It's just beautiful.
It's a little weird, but But once you have this in an open standard, then you can use WebRTC or anything else to sort of.
Doesn't have to be Hangouts. In other words, you could. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt, you've lost a lot of credibility with me right now for some reason.
Oh no.
And now we have Google spam fighter, Matt Cutts. So I don't know if pirate is one of the words you can say in the Google keyboard on Android, but there are a lot of words you can't say. Wired magazine discovered there's this 185,000 word dictionary. Now, these are not banned words. These aren't words that it's not that you can't use these words. It's that it will never offer these words as a suggestion for autocomplete. From preggers to pizzle, Android's bizarre list of banned words. Google hasn't said where they get their list, but as you're swiping, and this is only for the Google keyboard in Android, as you're swiping, you can't, for instance, accidentally, and this is the main point. You can type in lovemaking, but if you do the lovemaking, something close to it, it will never suggest lovemaking, and I don't think this is unreasonable, frankly. But is prevented. Geek. I don't know why it would prevent you from coming up with geek, except that maybe it's an insult to some people. Gonadotrophia and illumination are banned. Thud. For some reason, LSAT is banned. Pizzle, braless, panty, tampax, lactation, uterus, and preggers are all banned. Condom is banned. That's, in other words, those will never show up unless you turn off. I don't actually, can you turn it off? But they will. Those will not show up as autocomplete suggestions or correction suggestions. If you turn off safe typing, I don't know if that's a way to disable this. Nobody knows where this dictionary comes from. Google declined, according to the Wired article, to comment on how it compiles a list of offensive words and how often the list is updated.
Maybe somebody will take a fresh look at that after this article.
I suspect that every time we see something like this, that's what happens. Google goes, oh, we didn't know that. Let's fix that. It's easy to do. Easy to do. I think, though, it makes some sense. You don't, this is the damn you autocorrect problem. You don't want the autocorrect to fill in words that some people might find offensive. Doesn't mean you can't type those words in. You just don't want them to suddenly appear by accident. What else should we do here? I'm just looking through our stories. Demand media has fallen?
Oh, I read that.
And guess who helped trip them?
Probably
the guy
you.
over there.
Matt Cutts. So demand media always bugged me, and I think it's bugged you too, Jeff Jarvis. Anybody who likes the idea of like real handmade journalism. The idea of demand media was that if you look at all the search terms that are popular and create articles based on those search terms, you can do quite well with kind of they're not generated by humans, but they're kind of synthetic articles.
And that's not an evil strategy off the bat, because About.com made its business around that of saying people are asking questions, let's have answers for those questions. So that part was okay. Demand media turned that into the first of the major content farms where indentured servants of writers doing things for $2 or $10 would churn out these articles over and over and over again with nothing new, no quality. And so I think, Matt, it was you who talked about how, as a result, Google had to look for more signals of what? Authority, originality.
Yeah.
What were those signals that you had to add in to try to decrease the content farms from rising up?
Yeah, there were a lot of them. We had to do a lot of research, but the litmus test was always, what is the value add for users? If something is the sort of site that somebody really wants to tell people about, or bookmark or those kinds of things, then that tends to be a really high quality site. Whereas if you land on it once and you're like, oh, this is awful, what am I doing here? Then that's clearly not the sort of site that we want to return to the search engine. And so the challenge is trying to find the signals that are able to ascertain the quality of a site and the added value to a site for users. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job with Panda. We always keep iterating. We typically have updates every month or so. But that was an interesting article to read, because I don't think these days, if you say, I'm going to just create a lot of very low priced content on the web, people would automatically be like, okay, that sounds like a great business model.
Right. Well, I mean, and this is Demand Media with a capital D and an M. This is a business called Demand Media doing something we labeled Demand Media. Their biggest website, eHow, actually has some good stuff on it. I've used eHow to find out how to do stuff.
eHow. No, I mean, Demand Media is not completely terrible,
but this is why Matt's job is tough, because it's not obvious, right?
And there's definitely some content that you do want to return and some that you don't. And typically on a per domain basis, you can say, oh, New York Times, probably higher quality content, whereas some other domain might not be. But you can find high quality content on a domain that might not have the best stuff otherwise, and vice versa. So.
And the idea would be that you would create link-baity articles that would then have ads on those pages, and that because these articles are generated based on popular search terms, they'd be very successful. There'd be a lot of money to be made.
Yeah.
But you kind of, with your spam fighting and attempting to find better signals and better, more authoritative articles, kind of, I think, hurt the company. Went public in 2011. Market cap went to as much as $2 billion, making it more valuable, at least for the time being, than the New York Times. Demand Media is now about a quarter of that value, and the co-founder is no longer CEO as of October. They're looking for a replacement. In fact, it looks like the only thing left of their business is their domain registration business.
Which was where it all started.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Right, they had a whole bunch of domains, typo domains and that kind of stuff. They throw some content on there and get ads on that, right, Matt? That's where this.
Yeah, Enom was always sort of a source of strength for Demand Media. The interesting thing is that there was another domain registrar or registry which had mentioned that people don't necessarily like seeing what we call parked domains showing up in search results. So if you just type in, a lot of people actually type in the address bar. Yeah, and so we actually deployed an algorithm that tries to not show parked domains with all those ads in search results. And so we saw at least one company say, as a result, domain parking is it started to grow more slowly or even decline a little bit because that algorithm did have an impact on that.
So as an example, and this is a Variety article, they created 3D-BluRayPlayers.com. And of course, the idea would be that if I did a Google search for 3D Blu-ray players, well, what would be more canonical than a site called 3DBluRayPlayers.com? But of course, you go there, and it's just a parked page with a lot of ads on it. And I remember there was a period where I would get a lot of those in Google searches, and they've and it's gone. And it's not because the pages are gone; it's because you fixed it.
Yeah, that's right. We worked really hard to try to make sure that just if you just come up with a clever name, something.net, that doesn't automatically mean you should rank for that particular search. So
this is in the Variety article. Early on, Demand used Enom, that was their registrar service, ENOM, used Enom's 1 million generic domain names to serve up relevant ads to people searching for specific topics. These domain parking pages were immensely profitable, generating north of $100,000 a day, according to a former Demand exec who requested anonymity. That's $35 to $40 million a year without doing any work, the exec said.
Yep.
But as Variety pointed out, the tactic was fundamentally a bait and switch. You thought you'd get some information. Instead, you just got some ads. And we've all seen that. I mean, I don't think that...
Matt, I've been arguing for some time that as search becomes more and more and more personalized, that SEO, especially as a dark art, starts to decline in importance because you can't demonstrate an ROI. You can't say, well, we raised you 4 spots for everybody's search results because you don't know. Would you agree with that?
Well, there's 2 parts to that. I'd say there's the kind of SEO that is just making your site a better site, better architecture, cleaner URLs, not duplicate, content, that sort of stuff. And that's always a good idea. That's just like making sure your resume doesn't have any typos on it. That's just clever stuff. And then there's the kind of SEO that is sort of cheating, trying to get a lot of bad backlinks or scamming. And that's more like lying on your resume. When you sometimes get caught, then there's repercussions. And it definitely helps to personalize because instead of just trying to rank number 1 for plumbers, now anywhere you search for plumbers, there's local results and there's results that are, not just the same across the entire country or the entire world. But it's also the case that we've done a very diligent job of trying to crack down on the black hat type of spam. So we had an algorithm called Penguin that launched that really kind of had a pretty big impact. We had a more recent launch just a few months ago, and if you go and you patrol the black hat SEO forums where the guys talk about the techniques that work, now it's more people trying to sell other people scams rather than just trading tips. There's a lot of the life has gone out of those forums, and even the smaller networks that they're trying to promote, buy my Anglo rank or whatever, we're in the process of tackling a lot of those link networks as well. So the good part is, if you want to do a real site, you don't have to worry as much about these bad guys, jumping ahead of you. The playing ground is a lot more level now.
So that happened with Panda, right?
Panda was for content farms and low quality, and Penguin was for spam, actual cheating.
And now you've got Hummingbird.
We do, yeah. Hummingbird is a rewrite of the core search algorithm just to do a better job of matching the user's query with documents, especially for natural language queries. The queries get longer, they have more words in them, and sometimes those words matter and sometimes they don't. And so Hummingbird affects 90% of all searches, but usually just to a small degree, because we're saying, okay, this particular document isn't really about what the user searched for, because maybe they said, okay, Google now, how do I put a rutabaga up into space? And what really matters is rutabaga in space and not how do I or something.
Right. So these can be, it's not that Panda was replaced by rutabaga, whatever the new one is.
Penguin, no.
Penguin. They are in parallel.
Yeah, they all complement each other.
Okay. What is the current one? The latest? Is that?
We've been working on a lot of different stuff. We've actually now been trying to work on how to promote good guys. So if you're an authority in a space, if you search for podcasts, you want to return something like Twit TV. So we're trying to figure out who are the authorities in the individual little topic areas, and then how do we make sure that those sites show up for medical or shopping or travel or any one of thousands of other.
And that's done algorithmically?
Yeah.
Not by humans?
No, definitely not. It
and
wouldn't scale.
We don't like humans. We don't need humans. We can do it with a Python script. Why do it with a human?
Humans are great, but if you can find a way to tackle it with a computer program, that's also really nice.
And of course, your secret sauce is the signals you use to find out who has authority. That's historically very difficult.
Yeah.
As somebody once said, I might have authority when it comes to my kids. I might have an authority, but it doesn't mean I have authority with you. Right.
Right.
So authority is a kind of.
Well, what's even harder is, it would strike me, is authority by domain.
Right.
And understanding the domain. Right. So defining domains, defining what is medicine and what is sports.
But you can do that all algorithmically?
Yeah, actually. So PageRank is sort of this global importance of, like, the New York Times is important, and so if they link to you, you must also be important. But you can start to drill down into individual topic areas and say, okay, if Jeff Jarvis links to me, he's an expert in journalism, and so therefore I might be a little bit more relevant in the journalistic.
That makes sense.
Trying to measure those kinds of topics, because you really want to listen to the experts in each area if you can.
It's really fascinating what you do. What was your training to do this, Matt?
I was a computer graphics guy.
None, in other words.
Yeah, none.
And did you learn on the job, or?
Well, I learned because I wrote Safe Search, and Safe Search was this porn filter, and I saw all these bad, horrible things happening, and so I sort of like pulled up the rock and saw all the dark things crawling underneath, and so as a result, I've kind of ended up working in that area. It wasn't like I was trying to learn all the 19 different ways to say sex or anything like that.
Yeah. Do you think at this point you really understand the secret sauce in PageRank and all of that, or?
Yeah, Google does a good job of breaking things down into different areas. So Amit Singhal is the head of all of search ranking, and he's really got everything in his mind, and he's got a whole core of lieutenants who understand individual parts like synonyms and spelling. And our team's job is really the quality of individual sites and whether people are spamming or cheating. So that part of it is really my core, and that's what I hopefully know back.
But it seems that to make that work, things like authority and all that stuff, you have to understand all of those, how all those signals apply, where they come from, what to do with them, how to weight them. So it seems like to be effective at what you do, you have to fundamentally understand what's going on.
It really helps. And one of the secrets that we do is people don't have individual offices as much at Google. So I'm in the same office with Amit Singhal, and a lot of the web ranking leads and the web spam leads are often in the same office. So when somebody's talking about, oh, we don't return Banana Republic for this search, somebody else can be in the same room and perk up their ears and sort of figure out what's going on. So co-locating all the leads has been very helpful.
It's really interesting.
Matt, you've heard me joke often, or not joke, what I'm about to say is very serious, is that I would think that you'd be the meanest, nastiest, most cynical, horrible person at Google, and you're the nicest person I know there. But the serious question from that's a very sincere compliment and very true. No, the sincere question from that is, in your job, have you gotten a better sense of psychology, either that of the world's or of your own?
Yeah, definitely. Because if you want to stop spam, the most straightforward way to do it is to deny people money, because they care about the money and that should be their end goal. But if you really want to stop spam, and it's a little bit mean, but what you want to do is you want to break their spirit. You want to make them frustrated.
Yes!
Wow.
Break their spirit.
Wow.
So there are parts of Google's algorithms specifically designed to frustrate spammers and mystify them and make them frustrated. And some of the stuff we do gives the people a hint that their site is going to drop, and then a week or two later their site actually does drop, so they get a little bit more frustrated. And so hopefully, and we've actually seen this happen, people step away from the dark side and they're like, you know what, that was so much pain and anguish and frustration, let's just stay on the high road from now on.
And they don't know it was Matt Cutts that did it.
Well, it's the team, right? I can't claim credit.
I love this. I see you petting a white cat.
We shall frustrate you, then we shall crush you.
And then they shall bring me masking tape.
Well, some of the stuff that I like the best is when people say, you know what, this SEO stuff is too unpredictable, I'm just going to write some apps.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to go off and do something productive for society, and that's great, because all that energy is channeled into something good.
I like it. You say stitching content is bad quality content.
Yeah, that was just a webmaster video that we made that, it's kind of funny. We get these requests that come in from all over the world, and somebody says, can I do guest blog posting? And on one end of the spectrum, if Jeff Jarvis wants to do a guest blog post
That's different.
On your website,
Yeah.
you should do it. But typically what we see is, people who are really like, they'll write an article one time and then email 1,000 people and say, hey, how can we get some free links from you?
Right.
And so you have to answer those kinds of questions, bearing in mind both ends of those spectrum.
Yeah.
When I get those emails, I mark them as spam. Is that the right thing to do?
Yeah, that definitely is the right thing to do. If you want to, forward them on to me, Jeff, because we love to get those. Yeah, we love to get those spam reports. There was a fun Gawker story that just came out last night that was about. Sorry.
Do you want to get that?
No. I got it.
Hello, Mr. Cutts. I'm a spammer, and I have a message for you.
They're doing a denial of service attack. Yeah.
Your phone will not work again.
That's no, but it is sort of interesting. There was a guy who sort of pulled back the veil of secrecy on buying and selling links, which is not only against Google's guidelines but against FTC guidelines as well. And then 2 years later, somebody reached out and said, hey, can I buy some links from you? So this guy led him on for a while, and he was like, can you send me some examples of the work that you've done in the past? And then he bundles it all up and writes it in a Gawker article. But a lot of SEOs will actually lead people on and say, well, send me examples of your portfolio, and then they'll just forward that on as a spam report to Google. So.
Wow.
So Matt, while we're quizzing you, we turned into triangulation all of a sudden. You and native advertising, there was a big FTC event today about native advertising. I'm going to do some survey. I'm going to do some work on trying to find how confused readers really are. Tony Hale at Chartbeat has been telling me that the click-through on this stuff isn't that good, but of course it's taking over the world. Listicles for all. How do you deal with and for those in the audience, native advertising is when you're trying to make what is basically an advertiser's content look like content so that they are friendlier with that. How do you view native advertising?
Yeah, it's really tricky because my scope of expertise is the search engines, and so if you're not spamming the search engines, or Google specifically, I might not like it. I might think that you're a horrible person, but we wouldn't take action on you within Google necessarily. And so with native advertising, our litmus test is, do you have links that are not adequately disclosed? Readers can't realize that they're paid for, and more importantly, search engines, they affect search engines. So if your paid links don't affect search engines, then you're not violating Google's quality guidelines.
Oh.
But I think you need to, in my opinion, my personal opinion, you need to have clear and conspicuous, disclosure, because if someone
Amen.
doesn't realize that it's an ad, then you're down a really bad slippery slope.
Jeff, you're not asking him the important questions. What the hell is the barge all about? This is what we want to know. This is what we want to know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
You don't know? They haven't told you?
Well, that we've read a little bit internally, but I'll stick with the.
I got an invitation to the Google Christmas party that actually had a link to the barge article. So should I go to that? This is the San Francisco Christmas party. Should I go to that party and expect to be taken over to the barge and floated away?
Maybe they'll have little tiny barges that they hand out to people or something like that.
I've never been invited to the New York Christmas party, now that I think about it.
Hey, that's not nice.
Jeez.
It's the hacks. It's the this is the one I was invited to. The Hacks and Flax holiday party. The air is brisk, the days are short, and Google's getting ready to help Santa deliver presents with a very large floating nautical sled. This is in the invitation. So I don't know. I should probably go. But it's at
Christmas parties are usually good.
It's at the Glass base camp on Spear Street. So I'm thinking. There's no way to get me from Spear Street to the waterfront in any prompt amount of time. If they said the party would be on the barge, I'd be there
in a second,
in a heartbeat. We don't know what the barge is, but the San Francisco Chronicle on Monday ran a story from their investigative reporters, so Mateer and Ross, that says, according to the budget report from the builder, it's one of the first of 3 floating wonders the company plans to launch at a total cost of $35 million. Turner Construction Company says the idea is to construct the vessels at Treasure Island, then dock them in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. The project's called Hangar 3. Each barge is to be stacked with 80 shipping containers and flanked by rows of sails. It's a floating retail store. You guys at Google must laugh when you see these stories. Like,
it's fun to see how people try to reverse engineer what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy who had a floating car and happened to just be located near Google, and he's like, I am not affiliated. I have nothing to do with it.
This is not my floating car. That's not my floating car. All right. I think anything else you guys want to talk about before we move on to our picks and number of the week here?
You got it, boss.
Google Glass used by surgeons. Comedian wears glass to the mall. Glass
Video,
bland.
I didn't watch it, but the shtick was that he wanted to convince people that when he was talking to his class that he was actually talking to them and confusing them.
Like talking over their shoulder, but he thinks he's talking to them. Ed Bassmaster. Not his real name, I'm thinking.
I would doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right, let's take a break, and we'll come back, and we will have your Leo's tool, Jeff's number, and Matt's thing coming up in just a minute. Our show today. Oh, I didn't bring my iPad out here to show you Hulu Plus. I am using Hulu everywhere now. Hulu Plus is fabulous. It's a way you can really binge on TV shows and movies and clips and stuff anywhere. Your TV, your PC, your smartphone, your tablet. Hulu, here comes my tablet. Would you mind getting me my my smartphone as well, my Android? As long as we're talking here. I am just a big fan of Hulu Plus. Let me fire it up here on my iPad Air. I was watching. There's a lot of kid stuff on here, and I was watching Sesame Street's parody of Mad Men. It was quite fun. Hulu Plus is for $7.99 a month, a great deal. You can watch your favorite TV shows. I watch late night shows on here because I just never can stay up late enough to watch Jimmy Kimmel. Shark Tank's on here. Family Guy, love that. Whenever I'm down, I watch Family Guy and I perk up. Saturday Night Live. Every episode of shows like Lost or Doctor Who, Community, Star Trek. Yeah, even the original Star Trek. They've also got Hulu originals now, The Wrong Man's, and this is one that I really enjoyed, Behind the Mask, which is Hulu's new docu-series that takes you inside the world of sports mascots. What? The Mindy Project, love it. Just a whole bunch of great stuff at Hulu Plus. And I want you to check it out right now for free. 2 weeks free, which is more than anywhere else. If you go to huluplus.com/twit, 2 weeks free of Hulu Plus. Make sure you put it on your device so you can watch it there. Put it on your computer. Binge on old favorites. Catch up on current shows. Or catch a great movie. huluplus.com/twit. Get your 2 weeks trial started today. Good one if you've got people coming over for the holidays to have Hulu Plus on there. It's fabulous. Thank you, Hulu Plus, for your support of This Week in Google.
Speaking of the holidays, they'll report you have one giant Christmas tree.
You saw the pictures on Google Plus. 12.5 footer.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I've never been. I've always wanted a giant Christmas tree, and I never really had enough room. In fact, for years, my kids remember this. I would buy trees that were too big for the house and have to cut off the top. Sometimes a lot of the top. So this year, I have it on my screen, Chad. This year, there it is. Yeah. It's a big. You know, the strange thing is, there's Lisa in front of the tree. That actually doesn't make it look as big as it really is. It's 12.5 feet. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you see that Uber is delivering Christmas trees?
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
For like $135, you press a couple buttons and they will deliver the tree to you.
Oh, that is great.
It's kind of funny.
I have this vision now of Matt never leaving home. His next 30 days. I got it. His next 30-day challenge is not to leave home.
I want the tree drone. Yeah, when do we get the tree drone?
Just drop it on the house.
There was a little bit of an issue because 2 guys came to deliver the tree, and only 1 guy left. And I'm thinking that there's a guy somewhere stuck in the tree. I don't know. I guess I'll just keep listening for cries of help.
That's great.
Oh, some things, some traditions, you know. My tool is something that's been out for iPhone for a while. And, you know, we were talking before the show about how much I love the Moto X, but the thing that's almost a deal breaker is the camera is not great on the Moto X. And I've used VSCO Cam on iPhone. It is now out from Visual Supply Company, VSCO. It's now out and free for Android, and it's quite a nice camera. Now, it's not going to overcome any hardware defects, but I think the features on it are just fabulous. You get free presets, but you can buy more presets. I think right now you can buy. Let me just take a picture and show you. You can buy presets, the entire set, I think, for $6. And the things you could do with these. Now, admittedly, Google offers Snapseed for free. The one negative on the presets is they don't have names; they just have numbers. So you kind of have to learn what the presets do. But they're quite sophisticated, and you can also say how strong you want any preset to be, which I really like, the ability to have a slider that determines how strong that preset is. You also have a variety of useful tools, including color temperature, contrast, brightness, rotation, cropping, all the things you'd expect. And the other reason I kind of like it, and this is kind of not really a good reason to like something, but the pictures get saved into a local gallery. And then if you want to upload it to, because I don't like it. I love the Google Plus auto upload, but what I'd like to sometimes do is have it in a local gallery, work with it a little bit, and then save it. And you can do that and have it uploaded to Google Plus. So it adds, this could be a negative or a positive, it adds another step. But I think this is, I seem to be getting really nice pictures with this. You also get a lot of information, including the f-stop, the ISO, and the location of the photo, which I think is pretty cool as well, in a nice display. This is free to try. And then if you want to get additional filters, comes with quite a few, $5.99. It's VSCO Cam. It's for Android. While it didn't turn my Moto X camera into the best camera ever, it does seem to improve the quality a little bit. I'm a kind of a fan. I recommend it, and I've used it on the iPhone. It's really quite nice on the iPhone. So also great UI, I think. If you don't like your camera, try it. Jeff Jarvis looks at right here 4 numbers of the week.
I always get prepared for theft.
There was no number theft. If you want to deliver all 4, please do.
There wasn't. No. I'll just do one, I think, which is that Google, when in 2003, the entire year was awarded 4 patents. When the iPhone came out, it had a total of 38 patents. Now it is being awarded patents at a rate of 10 every day the patent office is open. The war is on.
Wow.
Matt Cutts, do you have any patents?
I do have a few patents, actually.
Oh.
Wow. And spam fighting?
Yep. Looking
That's
at
neat.
like
Cool.
the age of domains and time as a factor in ranking, that sort of thing.
You're going to go around and sue us afterwards?
That actually brings me to my thing, in fact. That's a great segue, which is a cool website called trollingeffects.org. And this is not just your standard, hey, please call your congressperson, but if you click on the Take Action button, it's actually kind of neat. It uses Twilio. There's an API, so you call just one phone number. You don't have to even know who your congressperson is. So let me step back for a second. The Innovation Act is an act that tries to make it harder for patent trolls to sue companies that are actually trying to do business. So little tiny startups all the way up to Google. I've certainly had to take time out of my day to deal with, frivolous lawsuits from patent trolls and that sort of thing. So if you dislike patent trolls, I timed it. It only takes 2 minutes. What you do is you call this phone number, and it asks you, what is your zip code? And you just type in your zip code, and it will automatically connect you to your congressperson's office. So in my case, I called, I entered my zip code, and it took me to Anna Eshoo. And there's a person right there, and she says, how can I help? And I said, I just want to say that I support the Innovation Act. And it would be great if we could take down patent trolls and make it harder for them to take money off of, hardworking real companies. And that's it. 2 minutes, and you don't even have to know who your congressperson is. You just dial this phone number. It'll ask you for your zip code. You enter your zip code, and boom, you're done in a minute and a half.
That is awesome.
It's a good use of the Twilio API.
HR 3309, the Innovation Act of 2013. They're going to vote on it this week. It is one of several anti-patent troll initiatives, some from the executive, some from Congress, and I think we really need to do this.
Yes.
It is a huge cost in innovation, and it affects some of your favorite people. So
Like you.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
So please do what you can to fight patent trolls. It's among other things, the Innovation Act makes it easier to fight against trolls in court, to defend yourself. It also has a feature that requires trolls to make their cases public with specifics, which at least exposes them to the light of day. And when you see what some of these people claim, it's kind of stunning, and it gives you some protection against a particularly evil kind of patent trolling where they go to end users. There was a company that claimed to have a patent for photocopying, and they were actually going to people who have photocopiers and saying, you owe us money because you use a photocopier, and this would prohibit that. So, yeah, I think this is a good one. Please, trollingeffects.org, and I presume they're going to do other stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
They've got a good system here.
That's a great platform, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's EFF and Engine and Berkeley Law and a bunch of great folks.
Public knowledge, yeah, this is good. Yeah,
if you feel strongly about patent trolls, and you probably should, it's literally 2 minutes to give them a call. You don't even have to do any work. So
it's a tough one. It's a tough one, but I hope we can prevail. It was not a xerography. It was scanning documents. If you had a scanner, they would go after small businesses who used.
I'd sit them down and say, "Oh, if you're so smart about scanners, can you fix mine?"
Yeah, really. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Matt Cutts, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us from the horse's mouth.
It was a ton of fun. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Great to have you here, Matt.
Good luck with
Always.
stretching. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, I'm stretching right now. Anything else you want to plug? Of course, the Webmaster videos you do are fabulous, and everybody who has a website should watch them.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I'd say is if you do a search for Webmaster Videos, we have a channel on YouTube, and we're just about to hit 15 million views. So
That's pretty nice.
any questions you have, if you enjoyed the panda or the penguin or the hummingbird discussion, we talk about all kinds of things from mobile phones to, how to make your site faster.
You have 1,038,148 views, according to YouTube. The Google Webmasters channel. Why are you giving my Google Wallet card to me? Did I leave it lying around? This is
Never mind.
This is
I
Chad's
didn't- I
Google
didn't know
Wallet
if we
card. Thank you,
covered it.
Chad.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It was very nice of you.
It's
Is
a
this my
gift.
holiday gift?
Yeah. For you getting me the car.
I'll use it for the car. How about that?
Oh.
Jeff Jarvis is professor of journalism at the City University of New York. He blogs at buzzmachine.com, and you can catch his publications, including public parts on Amazon. Gutenberg the Geek.
is out on Audible, read by me, and in German, and in Chinese, and in Italian.
And you read it in all those languages. You are
Languages.
you're a very talented guy.
Just
Gutenberg the Geek now on Audible. Let's listen to a little bit of Jeff Jarvis reading. Oh, no, he says. Oh, no. It's Whisper Sync for voice ready.
It was his cash flow and equity structure that did him in. After pivoting from one business to another, solving myriad technology problems with keen insight, recruiting a team, raising capital, perfecting his product through secret alphas and public betas.
This is good. I can't wait to hear this. 39 minutes, 99 cents. That's a good
Only took me
deal.
about 25 hours to record it.
I know many of our listeners are Audible members, so there you go. Gutenberg the Geek, unabridged, narrated by Jeffrey Jarvis. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 2100 UTC on twit.tv. Stop by and partake live if you can, but if not, on-demand audio and video is always available after the fact at twit.tv/twig and wherever finer netcasts are aggregated, distributed, and downloaded to your favorite player, like iTunes. Audio and video. So, you can listen and watch if you wish. And we will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned. Adam Sessler next on Triangulation. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Twig. Bye-bye.